I wish I could say something funny or inspirational like Wayne and Dutton, but that's just not my style. Pain heals, chicks dig scars, and Arthur Smith lasts forever. Welcome to week 10 of the Three and Out podcast.
Welcome to week 10 of the Three and Out podcast, where we get another thrilling week of Bryce Young versus Tyson Bagent, Zach Wilson versus Aiden O'Connell, and the elite Josh Allen, all in prime time. I'm your host, Wayne Cavati, and these two guys over here and over there are Mike Dutton and Chris Fiamano. I'm skipping the schnazzy intros this week, okay, because we need to I'm going to get on my soapbox. That's what I'm going to do. But before I get on my soapbox, first, how about a little congratulations to longtime loyal listener and star of Stage and Screen, Josh Davis, who now gets to go back to work because the strike ended moments before we came on to recording.
Yay, Josh.
We all expect a shout out on Blue Bloods. I don't think that's too much to ask. A little Dutton, Wayne, and Fee shout out next time you're a bad cop. Anyway, back to my soapbox. By the way, what the hell's a soapbox? Have you ever seen anyone?
Okay, yes, I can. Do you want me to tell you that
you're the
three
history
lessons?
teacher.
Okay, so literally it used to be, in order to campaign, the people would stand on some sort of box to put themselves up higher. So, and then like soap came in big boxes, like big wooden boxes. So you would stand on a soapbox and they would say, "Get off your soapbox." Like, so there you go.
And that's where it came from.
Speeches. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just going to sit in this chair, but I'm going to talk a lot for a quick second. So I watched a quarter. Remember, last week I told you, not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago, I didn't watch any football on Sunday because I had other obligations. This weekend, I tried to watch a half of a quarter of Thursday night football. I listened to a quarter and a half of that game in Germany, which should have been the best game of the year, and I can't do it anymore. The NFL is getting so unwatchable to me, right? First of all, there's too many flags. There's way too many penalty flags that you can't get into any rhythm, and there's too little talent. I'm soured on sports in general because it's all about the money. Thursday night football and the across Germany games and London, they have no value to the player or to us, the fans, right? The games are always awful. I hate the whole MLB playoff system and doing these cash grab things. And, you know, on a side tangent, I already told you both, MLB is going to get way worse because now we're going to do that NBA load management because winning your division and winning 100 games means jack squat because neither of those teams were in the World Series and won. And you know, it's just, I'm saying all that because, like, imagine it's like the Wizard of Oz. The curtain's been lifted, and there's the guy that's been behind the curtain, and his cousin Eddie with eggnog in one hand and hamburger helper in the other, and you're just like, what the hell am I watching? But I say all that because we did make a commitment to this podcast, and truth be told, I like looking at your mugs every week, so we're not going anywhere. But I'm just going to be a host, okay? I'm going to be your North Star. And you guys are going to do all the work, and I'll just hear and lead you to all the right picks. And you can't say I'm a sore loser because we're coming off the heels of arguably our best week of this show in 4 years. I don't think we got like 3 things wrong last week. Like we got all 3 of us picked all our right picks. Locks of the week. Fee had one good stack and all his side guys hit, his standoff guys. And we went 7 for 8 on starts and sits. Like, it was absurd. But this week, I say all this, and we don't get to watch Patrick Mahomes. We don't get to watch Jalen Hurts. No Tua, Waddle, Tyreek, Mostert in the best offense. How do you plan a bye that all of these guys are off our televisions and we have to watch the Jets and Raiders on Monday Night Football? So, gentlemen, welcome back.
No, Sunday Night Football. Sunday night.
There's Sunday night. Oh, yeah, Monday night is Bengals-Bills, right?
Right. No, Broncos Bills.
Broncos Bills. Okay. So let's get into buy it or BS. And the first question is, we'll go to you, Dutton. Am I nuts? Am I wrong? Did anything I say resonate?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's a frustrating time to be a football fan. And it's partly due to the fact that they hype up these games. Like, everyone bought into the Chiefs Dolphins. Everyone bought into the Bills Bengals. That game was not good. The Bills Bengals game was not good, right? The Chiefs Dolphins game wasn't good. The good game, as much as it pains me to say, and a bunch of our friends are going to laugh at me for saying this, the Cowboys Eagles was a good game. It was exciting. It came down to the end. But no, in general, football is just like there's a few really good teams and there's a lot of not so good teams. And the problem is we're getting more and more of the not so good teams playing each other right now.
Yeah. Faith.
Yeah, I think Dutton hit the nail on the head right there. It's that there's a whole lot of really not good teams. Look at the NFC. I said it in the beginning of the year in our preview podcast. I said, we talked about who we thought that was going to be at Super Bowl, Super Bowl, contenders or whatever. And I said that it's the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Niners in the NFC, and that's it. There's nobody else. So, like, what are we watching exactly? We're just watching a whole bunch of teams play some football, not really well. And, like, for what, really? Not really much, because there's only 3 teams in the NFC that you need to watch.
Yeah.
Right? So Dutton hits the nail on the head there. But the other thing is also there's tons of injuries, like tons of injuries. And, like, yes, that happens. It's football. Injuries are going to happen. It just seems like it's more so right now this year than any other year that I can remember, and that hurts the game. It hurts fantasy. It hurts the fan because the fan is so involved with fantasy that they want their players to be playing and they're not. So that hurts also. There's a lot of reasons for that. There's that they added an extra game. There are still teams that are playing on AstroTurf for some ungodly reason, right? Instead of real grass. I mean, you're making billions of dollars. You can't put some real grass on every single stadium, and so and there's other things that are contributing to these injuries, and it's hurting the game overall. So no, you're not wrong, but at the same time, you can't just walk away from football. You can walk away from the podcast and walk away from wanting to do work.
I like the podcast better than I like football because I get to talk about how much I hate football with 2 people I like.
Well, then fine. Then let's do that. Come on.
Here's the thing, too, really quick. First of all, this year, why is the Achilles this year ACL? Right? Like it used to be ACLs were popping left and right. I've never seen so many people with Achilles injuries than this. Right.
And to both of your points, it's significant players, right?
Right.
We're talking the Giants are down 2 quarterbacks, right? Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor can't play. They have Tommy DeVito and who'd they sign? Barkley?
Matt Barkley.
Matt Barkley.
Like what? That's an NFL team that we just said their quarterback list. Like, are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. And that's the part that makes it hard.
Speaking of terrible offenses, 2 weeks ago, we made fun of Devontae Adams only having 1 catch for 11 yards. And George Pickens said, hold my beer. I'm going to have 2 catches for -1 yard. But that's all part of the Steelers offense. Gentlemen, you've seen the stat. Matt Canada, they played 8 games. They are the first team to have a winning record, having been outgained in every one of the games they play. What is Matt Canada doing? Buy it or BS feed. This guy's got to go.
Well, okay, so you're right in that he's obviously not doing a very good job, but for whatever reason, they're still winning games, right? They just beat the Titans, and so I'm honestly not sure what's going on there, but they are winning games one way or another. So I don't know.
But I mean, that's Tomlin. That's why Tomlin gets to keep his job. Canada's got to get a better offense if they want to win in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
Playoffs. Dutton.
Well, it's great because you wrote, what in the hell is this guy doing about Matt Canada? And my response was, not his job. Because he is not doing his job. Because if your job is to be the offensive coordinator, not the offensive coordinator, I think he's just not understanding the words, right? I just fix them up.
But the
terrible. It is terrible to watch.
They're good players. There's
George Pickens is a good receiver, right? Like,
so is Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson is a good receiver. Kenny Pickett is not that bad of a quarterback.
Not when you have those weapons.
No,
Yeah, they
and
still got Najee Harris and Jalen
right,
Warren.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, and you said it, Wayne, too. Like Mike Tomlin, I mean, put Mike Tomlin on the Mount Rushmore of coaches at this point, right?
I agree. Guy never has a losing record. It doesn't make sense.
Longest tenured coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So we're going to move on to the next one because you better have the right answer for this one, gentlemen.
Oh, Jesus.
Fiamano likes this one because Fiamano, like in all of my leagues last week, everyone was like fighting to score 100 points, and Fiamano's out here for records, like up with 180 points somehow. It was like the worst week in fantasy football history, and Fiamano had the 6 good players that played. Anyway, one of them was CJ Stroud, who lit the world on fire. Dutton, you buy it or BS. CJ Stroud is not only the rookie of the year, but the Texans win at least a wild card spot, if not the division.
Yes and yes. Well, first of all, to be fair and for full disclosure, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scored with 37 seconds left, and I said, "Hey, maybe we'll win this game." And my 17-year-old daughter was like, "There's some time left." I was like, "That's why I said maybe." I've been a Bucs fan for a long time.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I watched CJ Stroud march right down the field. But seriously, to answer your question, yes, he is 100% the rookie of the year. And you're not wrong. They may win that division. Like,
It's going to be close.
it's going to be close. It's going to be close.
And they already have the one win up on the Jaguars, which helps.
Which helps. And the fact that, like, there's a lot of teams that were supposed to be doing better that are struggling. Like, they might sneak in over the Bills. We don't know. Like, it'd be great. You would love every second of it, wouldn't you?
Oh, my God. CJ Stroud, elite. Josh Allen. Fate, buy it or BS?
I'm buying it. Yeah, he's 100% the offensive rookie of the year for sure. As far as them winning the division, they're gonna have to win the division in order to make the playoffs. The AFC North right now, 5-3, 5-3, 5-3, 7-2. Okay, that's the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Bengals. Not to mention you still got the Bills in the AFC East. The Jets are still 4-4, which is what the Texans' record is. I'm not saying the Jets are any good or that they'll improve on that because I don't think they will. And oh, by the way, the Chargers are, as bad as they are still 4-4 also. So they might have to win the division in order just to make the playoffs. And the Jags kind of came back down to earth. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're right. It's going to be close for sure.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun to watch, at least. I haven't had fun being a Texans fan in a long time.
It is fun.
The Texans are fun to watch. They
are. Yeah, for sure. Tank Dell, baby. Fee, we'll start with you. Buy it or BS? Hopefully he doesn't have to play. They said they signed him as a safety valve because Brent Rippon was arguably the worst looking quarterback in the history of the NFL. He was so bad they were trying to cut him in the fourth quarter, from what I heard.
Pause. The guy that played for the Cardinals was really bad.
Yeah, it's close. Hey, that's what we were talking about coming in here, that we have to figure out who had the worst performance last week. Anyway, Fee, buy it or BS? Carson Wentz will still suck even with all those wide receivers in Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, he'll still suck. Here's the thing, though. I feel like what he does decently is throw the ball quick, on those short crossing routes. Yeah. Right. Like he's, everything else he's not good at, but he can get rid of the ball. He's got arm strength. Yeah. So like, he will still suck. Like he's not going to be serviceable at all for fantasy, but I don't know what it's going to look like over there in their offense, but he might not even play. The Rams are on a bye this week, and Stafford's supposed to come back the following week. So we'll see.
Yeah. It was just fun to make fun of Carson Wentz for a second.
Oh yeah,
Dutton, buy it or BS? Or Kyler Murray's back this week. He looks like he's a starter, especially as you said after Clayton can't sing a tune. His great performance last week, so it looks like Kyler Murray is starting. Dutton, buy it or BS? You start him in fantasy this week.
I BS that nonsense. I'm not starting Kyler Murray. Like I wouldn't have started Kyler Murray last year before he got hurt. Why am I starting him this weekend after coming back from an injury?
Well, Fee, I'm interested in your answer here.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sold on the not starting Kyler Murray thing. And the reason is because the way we started off this podcast this week is with all the injuries. You mentioned all the bye weeks that we've had, all the injuries. We just spoke about how the quarterbacks right now are possibly Carson Wentz, Clayton Tune, and whoever the hell else is playing. Okay, so there's tons of guys.
Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to the starts and sits in a little bit, and I'm gonna have an interesting one for you there. But I wouldn't necessarily throw out Kyler Murray, and I wrote this down here too. I have Trevor Lawrence and him in another league of mine, and I'm seriously considering starting Kyler Murray over Trevor Lawrence this week.
Trevor Lawrence is at the Niners, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's not. I don't think that's a crazy pick.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, look, Dobbs did well with the Cardinals, right? So, and listen, I know Kyler Murray hasn't played in a year and a half. I know that he's coming off an ACL injury and he's not going to look the same, but I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals have a halfway decent team, so.
Yeah, but can I just remind everyone that Dobbs is a rocket scientist, and they had to put a thing into Kyler Murray's contract that he had to study the playbook.
Right.
Like, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's a good point. Trevor Lawrence it is.
All right, this isn't a bite or BS, but I have an aside that I thought of in my brain just now, and I want to ask you guys. So we know what's going on at Michigan, right? With the Michigan football and the filming and this stuff. During the whole run of the Patriots, what were they known for?
Cheating.
What's the one common link here, people? Did Tom Brady start Spygate at Michigan, and it finally is getting, and he just brought it all? Hey, Bill, let me tell you how we're going to win Super Bowls. We did it at Michigan all the time. We're just going to go send people and record their games. It's weird, right? That there's that one time.
Jim did it when he was the quarterback at Michigan. He taught the guy after him.
Right.
He taught me. This is how it goes.
Yeah. But no, all kidding aside, let's move on to locks of the week. Last week, I hit the Browns, giving 8.5 to the Cardinals. Dutton hit the Raiders, giving 2 to the Giants. And Fee said if Dobbs plays, the Vikings are a lock, which he was right. And we went with the Raiders overall as our team pick, as our 3-and-out pick. So I am going to say this. I didn't put, you see my spreadsheet this week, gentlemen. For those new listeners, we have a spreadsheet, and I didn't fill out anything because I don't want to do the work. But I will say this. I like to gamble. So I was looking at spreads. I'll tell you what's a gimme. The Steelers and Packers game is at 37.5, and this game's going to be 3-2. I'm telling you, the Steelers are going to get a safety, and the Packers are going to. We're talking about colossally bad offense. Lock in your under. Dutton, we'll start with you.
I'm picking the Cleveland Browns +6 against the Ravens. I know it sounds crazy, but here's why. Both teams are coming off big wins, right? But the one thing you can always count on, that Browns defense is for real. They are legit. And you're telling me that the Browns defense is going to give up 6 more points than their offense scores? I have a hard time believing that until the Ravens prove me wrong, right? And so I'm going with the Browns +6.
Okay. I like your explanation. And that defense is good. It's going to be tough. Fee.
Okay, so there are a few games that actually I really like this week, but the theme for this week for me is the Dallas Cowboys New York Giants game. And you'll notice as we move along here, it's gonna come up a lot. Okay. And so my pick this week, and I know that you're not supposed to do this at all, but I'm taking Dallas -16.5.
Lock it in.
I don't see why not. I don't see
Lock
why.
it in. Like
Tommy DeVito sounds like he should be playing in a band in the Point at Jenkinson's in the Point Pleasant
I
Boardwalk.
told you, he used to work on the docks.
The football team,
but he's not the quarterback. He used to work on the docks, but he's not the quarterback.
Right? That's what it sounds like, man.
So every gambler you talk to will tell you that you're not supposed to do this because of it's so many points and it's the NFL and anything can happen. But the difference is it's the Giants and they've been so bad, and now they're playing Tommy DeVito, who can't hit the broadside of a barn, or whether it's him or the coaching, and they won't let it. Let
Right,
him
they
throw
don't let
the
him
ball.
throw.
It doesn't even matter, right? There's no chance the Giants score more than 3 points this week. Okay, none. And if they do, it'll be 6 points. But really, they got destroyed by Dallas with Daniel Jones in week 1 by 40, and Dallas isn't going to do the same thing to Tommy DeVito.
And they're at home, Dallas.
And listen, the Giants defense got a lot better, but they're going to be out there for 50 minutes, okay, of a 60-minute game. You're trying to tell me Dallas isn't going to score like, I don't know, 25, 30 points, and the Giants
easy.
are only going to score 6,
Seriously
3,
locking it in.
6,
He is
0. I don't
convincingly.
know. So 16 and a half, I'll take the Cowboys.
I am
You
going to give you
convinced
an
me.
unpopular opinion for this podcast because I also saw this when I was looking at the spreads real quick. Chargers are giving 1.5 to the Lions, and I would tell you to go to the Chargers this week. And I'm going to tell you, and I need Jared Goff to prove to me this guy can win on the road, like
Yeah.
a significant game on the road. And you could talk about the Chiefs on opening night, but we called. Not only did we say the Lions were winning that game, we called how they were going to do it, and we're 1 point off on our score prediction.
Right.
Like there was no Chris Jones, so they ran it down their throat. There was no Travis Kelce, so they took away the receivers. That's not the same thing. They went and played Baltimore, and they look like the Giants that you were just talking about. And I'm sorry. I love our Lions, but I need to see that this guy can win a significant game on the road.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Okay.
They're coming off a bye, so they did have that horrific loss, right?
Yeah.
They're coming off a bye. They're getting healthy. They're getting Montgomery back. The Chargers are down 2 receivers.
Yeah.
And Quentin Johnson is not the answer.
No.
That guy is terrible. He's terrible. So all they have is Keenan Allen and Donald Parham. Okay. and Herbert hasn't looked good. Okay. And their defense is horrendous.
Yeah.
So I think it all adds up to a Detroit win here. And you're right. I understand the Goff thing on the road. But again, they're playing in LA. Is it a really road game?
Yeah, for him, at least he's familiar with it being there. It's true. It's true. Look, I like the Lions. I hope they win, but I need to see it.
We're going with the Cowboys as our lock of the week. Be convinced.
I love it. I'm all in. I'm all in. Fee, your stacks, like I said at the opening of the show, you gave us 2 stacks last week. One hit really good. Then you gave us 2 off, whatever you call those people, one-offs. The one-offs, too, and they were both great. So what do you got for us this week?
All right. So this week, so again, it's kind of a tough week with the buys and the injuries and the main slate. I think only has like 12 games on it, I think, or maybe 10 games. So anyway, to start us off, I'm rolling with Joe Burr. And he's 8,200. They're playing the Texans. I know that's your team, Wayne. But him and Jamar Chase, they've been on fire. And I think that continues this week.
Yeah.
Chase 9,300. He's, I think, if not the top, he's the second highest salaried receiver on the slate. But I mean, I like those 2 guys. And because they're so expensive, maybe you'll be a bit contrarian trying to stack that game. And by the way, you can come back with anybody on the Texans between Nico Collins or Tank Dell and go the opposite way with that. So I like that game. I like that stack. Stack number 2 is part of the theme this week. It's Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard in the triple stack game of the week against the Giants. Dak is 8,100. CeeDee Lamb 8,900, Tony Pollard only 7,800. I'll take all 3 of those guys, especially at those salaries. I would not come back with anybody in the Giants, by the way. Just stick with your Cowboy stack. And stack number 3, I wanted to go with a cheaper salaried stack this week. Because of all the bye weeks and injuries and everything else. So I actually like the Commanders this week. I like Sam Howell. He's 7,200, fairly cheap. Terry McLaurin is 6,800. And Logan Thomas at 5,300. I like all of those guys playing Seattle. Logan Thomas has been quietly one of the better tight ends in the league this year. And Seattle has struggled to stop the pass. So I like the Howell, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas stack this week. And then my one-offs, the Cowboys defense, lay them, find a way. They're the most expensive deed out there. They're 5,200. Usually it never goes above 5,000, but I can see why they raised it up a little bit. Find a way to get them in your lineup. Okay. You have to have the Cowboys defense no matter what. TJ Hawkinson at 6,600. I think he's going to have a stellar game with Josh Dobbs. And Christian Kirk this week for the Jaguars is 6,700. I like him better than the rest of their guys like Calvin Ridley or Evan Ingram. So I think that Kirk has a decent game this week.
Nice. I hope so. I have him on one team. Let's move on to starts and sits. And again, as we said last week, our starts were out of this world. We all hit our starts. And then we hit our show. Carr, Stevenson, the law firm, and Kincaid all hit. And our sits were pretty good. We did pretty well. We went with Musgrave at tight end, and he wound up finally getting in the end zone after I said he had like 3 straight weeks going for 2 for 9 yards. Anyway, gentlemen, let's go with quarterbacks and jump right into it. Let's not forget all 4 of the buys this week are fantasy starting quarterbacks. Mahomes, Hurts, Tua, and in some leagues, Stafford is a starter with all the injuries. So all 4 are on a bye. Danny Dimes is out for the year. So we're digging a little this week. Dutton, who you starting?
You talked about him earlier that he's tough on the road, but I'm feeling good things for Jared Goff against the Chargers. The Chargers defense, yeah, they look really good against the Jets, but I haven't seen them look good against many other teams. So I like Jared Goff.
Fake.
Okay, so like you said, I was digging deep, and I came up with Russell Wilson this week against the Buffalo Bills. And I know what you're going to say, but with all the buys and all the injuries, of all the guys remaining this week that are playing, he's actually, of all the guys that are remaining that have played 3 games or more, okay, he's QB5 on the year for fantasy, which is insane to think about. But Russell Wilson, again, quietly is having a decent season. And he's putting up fantasy points, and Buffalo's defense is on the ropes right now, with all the injuries that they have. So I'm going to take a chance on Russell Wilson this week.
He'll also get 1 or 2 extra opportunities with the ball because Josh Allen will turn it over. So
yeah,
that's fair.
At least twice. I'm going to pick Tyson Bagent, and I did no research or have any reason as to why, other than
he's playing the Panthers. It's not a bad pick.
It's not a terrible idea. But who are you guys locking in?
I like Goff because I like Detroit this week.
All right.
So I go.
I don't dislike Detroit. I just need to see it. You know what I mean? I love Detroit. I think they have all the weapons. Running backs, Dutton.
Until we don't see him vulture at least 2 touchdowns from the 4-yard line and have at least 15 points, I'm riding Gus Edwards. Jump on that Gus bus.
Feet.
Yeah, I'm starting Breece Hall this week against the Raiders. I know you're probably starting him anyway, most likely. But the way the Jets have been, maybe you're having second thoughts, but don't. Breece Hall is going to be insane this week.
Well, they have to just give him the ball. I mean,
is Tony Pollard still a must start every week? Should we say start him?
He is this week.
100%. Is it weird? I feel like saying it's like saying Emmitt Smith back in the day, but no, right? He's a question mark these days.
Yeah. Tony Pollard is definitely a question mark for teams that have him because
he's not performing what you were expecting.
Yeah,
but you have to start him this week. You have to.
Yeah. So that would be my pick right there.
I like Breece Hall because I'm with the. I think the Jets are going to run the ball 100 times.
Probably. They were even saying, alluding to Simeon might be called up from the practice squad to start.
Right.
Tony Pollard was the 26th best quarterback last week. So yes.
Running back.
Yeah. So it's definitely worth saying start him. Wide receiver, Fee, your boy.
Yeah. So I had to get him in once this year, and I felt like it wasn't going to happen. But this week, I think that this sets up nicely for the Commanders. So I'm starting Terry McLaurin this week, and I'm hoping that he pulls it off for me against Seattle.
Done.
I'm starting Chris Olave against the Vikings. They're just going to blitz the whole time, and he'll get open once or twice for a couple of deep runs.
I love Olave. We can start him.
Olave. I'm gonna throw a dart and say Tank Dell, because a lot of people.
Wow, that was a big dart you threw there.
Well, people are going to sit against the Bengals. The Bengals
You're right.
have
You're
shown
right.
that they could shut down the pass. Dutton, start with tight end.
Your favorite player on your fantasy team, thanks to our trade, Cole Kmet,
Yeah,
has quickly become one of the greatest tight ends in fantasy football over the last 3 weeks.
yeah, he has. They have like
And he's
3
playing a
touchdowns.
terrible Panthers team, so why
Yeah.
not?
Why not? Fake.
I'm starting Cade Otton this week against the Tennessee Titans, who are 31st in the league against the tight end.
And I would tell you all to start the best and most used tight end in all of fantasy football, Jonnu Smith. That is my start of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it because he runs jet
Or-
sweeps?
-2 yards.
I mean, okay,
who's starting?
okay. We got to go off on we got to get Artie into the show, man. He said this week we don't need to give Bijan the ball to win football games, but he said it this week after losing 2 games in a row, not Bijan the football. Like, are you watching the same game that I'm
But
watching?
then he shaved his mustache, so it's okay. It's
Right.
okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna mix things up. I'm gonna shave my mustache.
He just-
His
it's
mustache
like,
is now the top red zone target on the Atlanta Falcons.
do you remember You Can't Do That on Television?
Yes.
Opposite sketches?
Right.
That's what it is, right? When he says you can't win football games, you don't have to give Bijan the ball to win football games. What he's really saying is, damn it, if I would have given Bijan the ball the last 2 weeks, we would have won the game.
It's amazing.
I can't help but think if they had anybody else as their coach, anybody,
They'd be
it could
6-2,
be anybody.
dominating their division.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would actually have
dominating the NFC South without question.
Oh my God, it's so brutal to watch. Like you can't help but feel so bad for the players on that team. And why can't they just fire the guy? I don't understand.
Either FedEx is funding part of the Falcons' salaries,
Or they've
FedEx is
decided
the
they'll
official
never send
delivery
another
service of
package.
Home Depot.
Or they'll never send They'll never send packages to Home Depot or the Atlanta Falcons if they fire him.
Right. It's like, yeah. All right. So our starts of the week, the 3 now starts of the week are Jared Goff at quarterback, Breece Hall at running back, Olave at wide receiver, and Cade Otton at tight end. Dutton sits, get us started.
Trevor Lawrence against the 49ers. It's not that I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I just think Trevor Lawrence is not going to have a good fantasy week against the 49ers defense. That defensive line is going to be really good.
Yeah. And they had the bye, right? To like work on everything. Oh, yeah. It's done.
Yeah.
Fee.
Do you see my conundrum with Trevor Lawrence and Kyler Murray?
Right. We see
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think everyone's obviously starting him, but I'm gonna sit this week Lamar because he's playing the Browns and the Browns defense is insane. And while the Ravens and Lamar did amazing things last week,
Not fantasy points.
I don't think it's gonna happen again this week.
And he didn't have fantasy points last week, Lamar. Like,
Yeah, no, he didn't.
they played well, but it wasn't like
he didn't score any of the touchdowns, right?
Right. Like, I think he threw 1 touchdown and that was it. I don't think he broke like 25 points fantasy wise.
No, I mean nobody did.
Right.
Holmes had the 2 touchdowns, but he didn't have a good day overall.
Excuse me, there was one person.
Well,
who
yeah.
did.
Yeah, we know.
touchdown.
We talked about him already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sitting Lamar Jackson against the Browns this week.
I kind of like that sit because, again, he's the kind of guy where I think his team is going to play well, but it doesn't mean he's going to have amazing fantasy numbers.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson, by the way, was the 18th best quarterback last week. So you were correct. He didn't put up fantasy numbers.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a good sit against that they're both good sits. I'm going to tell you to sit Josh Allen because I've been waiting 4 years to say that, and I cannot. Now that I don't care, I can say it. But it's gonna come. I put it into existence. Who you locking in, Lamar?
Yeah, Lamar. I
think
like it.
Lawrence is a good sit too, though. Fee, get us started with.
Okay,
running
well, what do
back.
you want to do? What do you want to do?
Stick with it. Never go against your first instinct. Stick with
Okay.
Lamar.
Right.
All right. For running back, I am sitting Saquon Barkley this week, and I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, hey, Fee, the Giants have a terrible quarterback, and they're not going to be able to throw the ball. They're going to have to give Saquon 7,000 touches. And you might be right, but Dallas knows that too. And while he may have 7,000 touches, it'll only be for like 25 yards.
Right.
It'll be like for 0.1 yards per touch. And so like he could catch 100 balls. Actually, that's not true. He'd probably have a lot of points if he caught 100 balls. But and here's the other thing. They're gonna get blown out so bad that they're gonna take him out halfway through the game.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Right. So my sit is Saquon Barkley this week.
Dutton.
I am sitting Derrick Henry against the Bucks because we do know the Bucks can stop the run. We don't know if they can stop the pass, but they can stop the run.
I would tell you my same pick I picked last week, and that's whoever starts at running back for the Texans, because this is clearly a throw first team. All of a sudden, the Bengals are pretty good on defense. So,
well, it's because they don't have any good running backs.
Yeah,
Texans running backs. It is.
Oh, you're going with mine.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver. Fee, you started that one. Dutton, you start this one.
Jamar Chase, because his back injury scares me, and that's like one hit to the back, and then he's sitting the rest of the game, and that's worrisome.
It looks like Stingley might be back this week too. So,
and he didn't practice today at all. He was
Jamar
not a
didn't?
participant. Jamar, right?
Fee.
That's not great.
Wow.
I'm sitting Devontae Adams this week. Not because he only went 1 for 11 the last time we saw him, but because he's playing the Jets, who give up nothing to the receivers.
Yeah, these DBs are good. Wide receiver, I'll throw a dart. Gabe Davis. I mean, what is up with that? That guy is just.
That's
scraps.
That's obvious pick.
Streaking. He is a streaky player. Well, it doesn't help that his quarterback was terrible last week. But
yeah. So who you guys locking in?
We're locking in Gabe Davis.
Oh,
Gabe
really?
Davis has been bad all year. He's had
No, he had a touchdown in 4 straight games.
And then he
I was looking at it, and then he went completely quiet for 3 weeks, and then what was it? 2 weeks ago he had like 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then last week he didn't even have a catch.
Wait a minute.
0 for 0.
Wait a minute.
I promise you, I had to start him for injuries. Look it up.
I'm about to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up too. Let's see who gets there first. Come on, sleeper.
Gabe Davis game log 4, 18, 11, 13, 19, 2, 1, 19. Actually, all right, fine. So he's actually.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He is streaky.
1, 2, 3. He's had like 4 good games and 5 not good games.
Like really not good.
But the games that are not good, 0, 1, 2.6, and 4.2.
Those are
like
terrible.
He's not even there. It's crazy.
Right, exactly.
I'm telling you, it's like when Stephon Diggs is tired, he's like, man, can you just throw the ball? Like, and if he's not tired ever, he just wants the ball. But every now and then he's like, come on, man, can I catch a breath? Tight end. Who you? Oh, we went with Gabe Davis. That's right. Fee, tight end. Who you sitting?
I'm sitting David Njoku for the Browns against the Ravens.
Yeah, he's been hot lately. I could see a lot of people wanting to rush and start him.
Yep.
Dutton.
I'm sitting Evan Ingram against the 49ers. Once again, I really think this defense is coming to play lights out this weekend.
I would tell you to sit Kyle Pitts because Jonnu Smith is the start of the week. I already told you that.
It's a valid point.
Njoku's a good sit because I do think people are going to be, he's had a touchdown 2 weeks in a row, and I think you're right. I think the Ravens take him out of this game.
I like it.
That's what I would say. That show went well. Anything else to add before we give our listeners their time back?
Yeah, one thing. Leave in the comments down below if I should start Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray this week.
Yes, everyone do that. I want to see what the results are.
Who I need to start. Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence.
I love that, Fee. Good idea. Dutton, anything from you?
No. Good luck watching terrible football this weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun watching the Bears and Panthers tomorrow night.
It's gonna be amazing.
Amazing. At what point did they think that was going to be a good game? Right? Like,
Never.
Take the under. Take the under.
No, you know what they did? They thought it was going to be a good game because of the Fields versus Young, right?
Yeah, Fields versus Young, but you wouldn't know.
No.
Anyway,
Take the under. Take
Now
the
it's
under.
Young versus what's his face?
Tyson Bagent.
Tyson Bagent, and Tyson Bagent's the better of the two quarterbacks.
He is. Who saw that coming? I did. This guy.
You did.
All right. We'll see you next week on 3 and Out.